Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Sports. I am Ralph LaBella.
And I'm Ron Sen. First, in the beating a dead horse category, we ought to say something more about the Red Sox and Mookie Betts. I'm really not mad at Mookie Betts went to the Dodgers or that the Red Sox decided to take a different direction rather than spend every last dollar available. If you look at the deals that they've made or not made, whether it was Ellsbury, Pedroia, Sandoval, Sale, Evaldi, etc., most of them look like they're not working out in the long term. But the issue is they're trapped in a bind, and that they can't say, we don't want to overspend for free agents because they'll never get another one. But on the other hand, if they say it's not about the money, that's lying to fans while you're raising prices for a worse product. So they're kind of trapped. They really need a media consultant, which you think with Tom Werner as a co-owner, one of Hollywood moguls, that they'd be able to come up with a better statement to the press.
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't sign him. Rumors are that 12 years at $425 million. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, they're not going to sign him to that contract. Maybe the Dodgers will. But they had to do that. They're going to have money left over. They're going to be able to sign different players. Maybe do what the Yankees did. LeMahieu for $12 million. Otavio for $5 million. You know, so I mean, you're going to get players like that and build up your team that way.
Right, and as the Patriots have taught us, having a really strong middle class, the middle of the roster, guys that play a lot, matters, aside from just having a few stars. And you're really on the hook if the guy is injured like Sale and Evaldi, then you've spent a ton of money and you can't get anything back on the field.
And you look at that money, Ron, I mean, you got a guy that's probably going to hit 290, 30 home runs, 90 RBIs. He's a leadoff batter, basically. You know, maybe score 110, 120 runs.
Well, if he can get on the field. And, well, moving to local sports, the Melrose wrestling team has been incredible lately. They win the state championship in Division III. They have 3 individual state champions, including Hunter Adrian, who wins for the 4th time, Sean Herbert, who wins for the 4th time, one year at apparently Saugus in the vocational school, and Sean Thomas, a sophomore. So to have 2 seniors who've won 4 state championships is really unheard of. And you say, why did that work? I remember we'd be practicing on whatever nights it were, and in the back there was this little room in the middle school with all these little kids practicing wrestling. We didn't know what was going on. But chances are these kids who are state champions were in there as elementary school kids, learning their trade. And then they bring in Larry Trombley, who has 786 career wins after coaching at Winchester. He's the head guy now. So they have a combination of, obviously, the individual achievement of the players, the youth program that's spectacular, and great coaching. And it's easy to understand why they're such a successful program.
Yeah, and they have New England's coming up. Is that how it's going? And then the U.S. championships?
Well, we know in the past that Hunter Adrian finished 4th in the United States, and he has a 207 win, 6 loss career record, which is kind of incredible. Sort of reminiscent of, for people who are old, Dan Gable, who was at Iowa, who was just the poster child for college wrestling and Olympic wrestling. Nobody could possibly outwork him, and he's coached for a long time. I'm pretty sure there's a statue of him where he coaches from when he was a player. Just such a representation of excellence. And we have other teams that are going into the postseason or did really well. Girls indoor track finished 2nd in Division IV, I believe, earning the silver medal and just barely losing out. So that's a great achievement.
Didn't they win the 4x800 relay?
I think they did, and a couple of girls that we've coached, Ava Palumbo and Alyssa Champagne, I know at least were on that team. So great effort, great achievement. It's great to see kids being so successful.
And the basketball team plays Malden Catholic tonight.
Malden Catholic tonight, and the hockey team plays St. John's of Shrewsbury at Chelmsford tomorrow.
They had a big win against Burlington, huh? At the end of the year.
Yeah, I think senior night.
4-1.
Right, so who knows? Maybe, Burlington won in the first round, the play-in round of the Super 8. So Burlington's one of the top teams in the state. And for them to beat them in the last game of the season, Melrose has to be looked at as a team with potential to go deep. We know that Brendan Fennell is getting close if he hasn't eclipsed Danny Muse's career point record at Melrose. So he's had a wonderful career, and he's only a junior. So great work there. Yes. Some other strange things happened. I saw that a public address announcer in Oklahoma was reading the players' names before the game, and it happened to be a team with a lot of minority players, and he said it was pretty disgusting, the names. Anyway, so he was gone by halftime. I'm not really sure whether the athletic director or who the person was that sent him out. And then there was a press release saying he's a good guy, he made a mistake. No,
he came out and said it?
Well,
or did he do a tough job?
No, I think, number one, he wasn't prepared, but he said the names are pretty disgusting. So, I mean,
wow.
You don't choose your name, you have your name. And, it seemed overtly racist, and at least in the basketball community I run with online, there's a lot of unhappiness about that, and for obvious reasons. Now, Rob Manfred, the Major League Baseball commissioner, has kind of put a warning out to other teams that don't to try to get retaliation with frontier justice against the Astros. I don't know how that works. So what happens is if the Yankees are playing the Astros and somebody throws inside for the Astros, brushes back Judge or something, well, the Yankees can't respond? I don't know.
I don't know if there won't be any retaliation, I don't think. I mean, you're playing, it happens. The way you think about something, you're not going to react and try to hurt somebody. And you don't even know for sure what they did. Now, word is that, they had something in their shirt.
Right, and they were saying that, some people have said Altuve's vehemently denied he was involved, but other times people said he specifically told teammates, don't rip my shirt off. So.
And they're saying he had some name there that he didn't want anybody to see. I don't know, probably some person he knew, maybe a girl's name there, I don't know, but that's what some people are saying. But I mean, you're not gonna, if I was in that position, there's no way I would try to hurt somebody when it's probably the management's fault, number one. They went along with it maybe, but you don't know exactly what happened.
Well, we know that the general manager, Jeff Luhnow, got fired. Obviously, the manager got fired. Carlos Beltran, who was a player on the team, hadn't even managed for the Mets, and he got fired.
Because he wasn't in the union anymore, that's why.
No. And supposedly, he brought some stuff over from the Yankees, so I don't know. I think all the teams do it to an extent.
Yeah. Number one, they're all trying to cheat, but It's really not cheating if you're picking up a sign if you're at second base. That's the game. If you're at second base, you're trying to, if you see maybe a fastball you're trying to send it to your batter, you have your own signs to give them. And the catchers are changing it all the time. That's why there's so many timeouts in the game. There used to be, but now you only can make so many mound visits. But that's why they were going out there, to change the signs, because they were being stolen legally. So they overdid it, just like Belichick overdid it the time he got caught.
And David Ortiz took some heat as a media representative for calling out Mike Fiers, who was on Oakland, for ratting out his team. Ortiz basically said he's a snitch. So again, the sort of clubhouse mentality, what you hear here and what you see here stays here, that never really goes away. Although it did go away. Remember the Lakers a few years ago, D'Angelo Russell?
Yeah.
Said a teammate apparently was cheating on his girlfriend or something, and D'Angelo Russell brought it out into the public. He wasn't on the team for very much longer after that.
But Ortiz can be a real jerk, though. You saw him break the bat, almost killed Pedroia that time. Went in
the dugout.
Complaining about not getting an RBI on a certain play. And then he comes out with that. What about him with the steroids? I mean, that was fine.
Well, how about
That
somebody shooting him?
No, but that he made millions and millions of dollars because he was on steroids. Couldn't hit for Minnesota. Sox get him all of a sudden. And that's when the steroid situation came out.
Now, the big NFL news is the collective bargaining agreement is on the table. The owners currently are taking in about $16 billion a year in revenue, and they're looking to get it up to $25 billion with a variety of maneuvers, including expanding the season and expanding the playoffs. But basically, they offer the players a pittance. They're offering the players about 1.5% increase when they're looking to increase revenues by 40%. So I think the players would be dumb to take the agreement at this point. The things would be fewer contact days during training camp.
They already knocked them off.
I know.
There's hardly any.
Less control of discipline by Roger Goodell. No penalty for detection of marijuana on drug testing. Those are some big things. But, well, I mean, as far as the players, if the owners are going to getting an extra $9 billion, hoping, and they're talking about giving the players $500 million over time, it seems like the players are getting really shortchanged, and I hope they don't agree to it as is.
That extra $9 billion is split, right?
Oh yeah, of
It's split with all the teams.
All the teams. So, and it's going to make a difference as to going forward, because the question is whether there's voidable years and can you amortize the salary. So guys like Brady get these phony years put on their contracts, and which brings us to the whole issue of what's the latest on Brady. And I think the place to look at that is Las Vegas. So Las Vegas, the odds are currently you have to bet $230 that Brady's going to stay to win $100, and if you bet $100, you can get $500 back. If you bet that if you're betting, for example, he goes to Tennessee, to the Raiders, or to the Chargers, but you can't. It's not a parlay where you don't get all three. You have to pick the right team. So who knows what he's thinking about these days? And there was some discussion that he's interested in being part of a new culture, and he's maybe tired of the Patriots culture. I guess that means tired of Belichick.
Well, I would bet, I'm going to Vegas a little April 1st, so that's going to be after it.
Yeah.
But I would throw 250 on Tennessee. You said it's 5-1, Tennessee?
Right, so if you made 250, you could get 1,250 back. I mean, the rumor was that Giselle was down there house hunting.
Oh, that house hunting is a joke, though. That's not part of it. Any area you go to there's beautiful sections. I mean, he's got to sign a contract first, then they can go house hunting.
Well,
but I think it's going to be Tennessee. I think it's going to either be the Patriots or Tennessee. I'm kind of hoping it's Tennessee. He'll have 2 good years there. Patriots can go on from there, and they'll save some of that money.
Yeah,
they're going to get hit with $16 million on the cap anyway, even if he leaves, right?
It's a big number. I don't know what it is. At some point, Brady will not be the quarterback for the Patriots, obviously, for the rest of the time. And we're in uncharted waters with a 43-year-old quarterback. You look at the top quarterbacks in the league, Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Watson. The guys, they're all mobile, so they can escape. And if the Patriots' offensive line is shaky at all, Brady, he can't move anymore.
Well, the thing is, I'm all for them to sign Brady if he comes to the off-season practices. If he's locked in there, then sign him. If he says, no, I'm not going to come to the off-season practices, then let him go,
I mean, if he goes to Tennessee, do you think he's going to the off-season practice?
Yeah.
Of course he is.
Yeah, of course.
So, because you got to get the new playbook, you got to get acclimated to the new receivers. So it's kind of hypocritical to say, well, I don't go to off-season activities beyond what's mandated, and then do it for a new team.
But if Brady goes, I know they need receivers, and they like Stidman, and they need a tight end. Maybe they can deal for them. But I would definitely sign Hurts. I would draft Hurts. Hurts will be there at 23.
You really like Hurts.
From everything I'm hearing. Hurts is another. You watch what Watson's doing now. Hurts is as good as Watson. Hurts can run. He's quicker than Watson's quick. Hurts is quicker. Hurts throws the ball harder, and he's way more accurate now since he worked with that quarterback coach for Alabama before he left for Oklahoma. He had a very good year for Oklahoma, and I think he's going to be a stud in the pros. They're not talking about him. They're talking about 3 or 4 other quarterbacks to go earlier. I think he'll be there. And if Belichick's smart, if he's there at 23 and Belichick knows that the next 4 teams aren't going to pick him, he may
There's some talk
trade down.
Burrows is trying to weasel out of going to Cincinnati.
How's he going to do that?
I don't know.
That's never going to happen.
Remember there was the Elway thing years ago and Eli Manning who...
Yeah, but that's one thing. But you look at Cincinnati, there are a lot of real good quarterbacks. The NFL's not going to want Cincinnati to lose out on him.
No, they've been down for a long time.
And there's 3 other quarterbacks that people are high on.
Well, Tagovailoa. There's talk about the Dolphins interested in him at 2.
Hurts. I would take Hurts over Tagovailoa. I would definitely take him over him.
Well, Tagovailoa had the hip injury, so we don't really know what his situation is there.
He's accurate, but he throws the ball almost like Stabler used to throw it.
Yeah, he's like Stabler.
He's throwing like Stabler. Very accurate, and he doesn't run as well as Hurts. And Hurts is accurate. He's got a real good arm.
Well, and his father was a coach, so he must have a long association with the game.
You watch, Ron. He's going to be one of the top quarterbacks in a couple of years.
Now, the Bruins are rampaging toward the President's Cup, whatever that means. They're first in their division by 5 points over Tampa Bay. They've been winning really well, and they've added a few players, Case and Ritchie, to the lineup to give them a little bit more scoring power, a little bit more muscle. They had to give up a first-round draft choice, which will be low.
20-something. So, that's a good move. That's a real good move.
And they also gave up Danton Heinen, who, he was a hustler, but scrappy player, but he was a spare part on that team.
I was listening to Michael Felger. He knows hockey pretty good.
Yeah.
He was really high on that. So I'm going by him. I don't know much about this guy. I know he's a 20-goal scorer. He's been injured a lot.
Right.
They say if he's healthy, he can really add a lot. And then
they said Ritchie's a 6'2", 230-pound guy, so they need more muscles.
Especially if they play St. Louis.
Exactly. So things are looking up for the Bruins. They're first in the league in defense. I believe Tuukka Rask is first in goals against average. So if everybody can stay healthy, maybe they got a shot this year. We'll be right back. Well, excitement is here. Spring training. Nothing like watching spring training baseball, especially if you need a nap, because the Red Sox, most of the games, I haven't even heard of most of the players playing in these games. It's unbelievably boring. The only thing that's going to be a big difference this year is the minimum batters a relief pitcher has to face is 3. So I suppose that'll be a little bit more interesting, although it'll be interesting to see if people have fake sprained ankles or other injuries to get out with less than 3 batters.
You wonder. I was thinking about it. I remember when I was younger, I couldn't wait to look at the scores. Spring training scores, the Yankee score. I'd always look down and I'd say, great, it's a spring training game. When you're really into a sport, and now you look at it, how many kids get the paper or get on whatever, the internet, and check to see how their team did in spring training. Every game I couldn't wait to look at to see how the Yankees.
There's an old story, baseball story about pitcher goes out to start the game, first batter, home run. They're in one of these old stadiums and they fire a cannon when there's a home run. So next batter comes up, home run, fire the cannon again. Third batter comes out, pitch comes in, home run. So the pitching coach comes out. The pitcher says, look, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. I can get these guys out. And the pitching coach says, oh, I'm not worried about you. I want to give the guy time to reload. So, but talk about a parade of nobody so far. Really, I'd heard about practically nobody. Jeter Downs was out there, the guy the Red Sox acquired from the Dodgers, a AA player. They're going to give him a million chances, you can be sure, but he's still a AA player for now. Verdugo's hurt still. He's recovering from a stress fracture in his back, and for some people who are old, Trot Nixon missed an extended amount of time one year with a stress fracture in his back that took them a really long time to diagnose. The Major League Baseball apparently has completed their investigation of the Red Sox role in the cheating scandal, sign stealing, but they haven't come up with a finding yet. And the person in charge is Tony Clark, who's, although he played for the Red Sox, he's more associated with the Yankees. So, in fact, didn't Clark hit a ground rule double that if he didn't have the ground rule double, the Yankees might have won?
When I looked at the page, that's what I thought about. Yeah, they would have scored from first. They would have won the game.
So, anyway, we'll see. Obviously, the Red Sox don't think that Renick's going to be involved because he's the manager, and former bench coach of Renick's, Jerry Narron, is taking on that assignment. And it'll be interesting to see breakout years for Bogaerts and Devers last year, and they seem to be really in sync with Alex Cora. Will they be equally in sync with Renick? Or maybe Renick's just going to say, just go out and play, I'm not going to mess with you.
Yeah, you wonder how deep the lineup's going to be. Someone's going to have to come through from, to me, always a number 7 batter's a key, always getting up a men on base. I mean, you go to first 5, they're as good as any team. But you get past there now, someone's going to have to come up with a pretty good year.
Well, if you go through the lineup, you say, is Vasquez going to duplicate what he had, 20 home runs last year? Sort of, it was a new guy.
Is Bradley going to hit better?
Yeah, and then backup catcher, we don't know. They've got this, I can't even say the guy's name, Piersowitz or something, Platowitz, whatever, and that Bloom had an association with from Tampa Bay, and they brought in LeCroy, who Renick had at Milwaukee. So Lucroy, used to have a little bit more power. We'll see. First base, it looks like it's going to be a platoon somewhere with Moreland, who re-signed for $3 million, with maybe Chavis, unless this deal is still out there in the air about Will Myers for San Diego. Myers is not that good a player. He's got an OPS around 700, which is similar to what Bradley has.
But you can have adequate hitting there, in the first base. Yeah. You can have adequate hitting there.
And then they've got this guy at second, Jose Peraza. They got from the Reds. He had one good year and then fell off last year. He's a young guy, can run. We'll see. Pedroia, obviously, we just talked about that he's on the DL again. I don't think they have to worry about the left side of the infield with Bogaerts and Devers. And then Benintendi really needs a comeback here. He had a tremendous amount of strikeouts, didn't perform well as a leadoff hitter. I think he hit under 150 in the leadoff spot. And Bradley is a question mark. And then I like Pilar. Now, Pilar was
very good defensive.
Yeah, really good. And he hit 21 home runs for the Giants last year, but there wasn't really much of a market for him.
Well, they got a good team. Are they going to come out and really go for it this year? Last year, they really fell apart. But it comes down to Evaldi
and
Sale, and Rodriguez has to have the same year he had last year.
Rodriguez had 19 wins last year. He went for 20 and didn't get it.
But who's going to pitch after them? Do they have a pitcher?
Well, yeah, the number 4 pitcher is another guy that I can never remember his name, Perez, and I can't remember where they got him from. And then they're going to have the opener concept. I'm guessing it's going to be Darwinzon Hernandez.
Hernandez I like.
Yeah.
I like Hernandez.
He had 15.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. The guy...
He's talented.
He can throw it through the wall when he hits the wall. So...
No, but they have, you look at, there's ifs. There's several ifs, but if they come through, most of them come through, they may make the playoffs.
Now, didn't I see that Severino's back on the shelf? What's going on with him?
I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah, I heard that they had to shut him down. As far as I know. But, and then Hermain has a domestic violence suspension.
He's suspended.
I think Paxton's okay, Tanaka's okay, and the number 1 guy, Cole, is, and the Giants are relying on Cole to be a 20-game winner, which he's certainly got the stuff to do it, and he's got the lineup behind him. Are you hearing anything about the catching situation in New York, or?
With Sanchez?
Yeah.
They like him. I don't know.
I heard he was going to change his stance and get down on his right knee so that he apparently, I think he led the league in passed balls. So they think that if he gets down on a knee, less stuff can go through the wickets.
Yeah, but he can't get down on his knee and when there's runners on base.
Well,
And then when there's not runners on base, you really don't mind.
well, he's got a really strong arm, so maybe he can.
He got a little bit. I'm more worried about his offense. You know, he'll have a streak of 1 month where he's hitting really well, and then he'll go into a slump where he's striking out all the time. And then in the playoffs, he's always striking out.
Who's playing shortstop for the
Torres
this
will
year?
play short now, and LeMahieu will play second. That's their natural position, believe it or not.
Okay.
You know, with the LeMahieu, when he was playing so well, they moved him to first, they moved him to third at times, at second. But right now, with Gregorius gone, Torres will go back to his natural position.
I don't even remember who was the MVP last year. Could have been LeMahieu. Was he? He wasn't the MVP, was he?
No.
Was it Bregman or Trout? Probably Trout.
Trout, I think.
I mean, Trout's a candidate to be MVP every year. He's that good.
But the Yankees have Andujar back too now, you know, and he's back at third, the rookie of the year from 2 years ago. He was out all year.
Right.
So he's back.
So they avoid it first?
Void at first. Now, what are they going to do with what's his name that played third last year? Forget his name. They're going to have 5 real good infielders that they're going to have to work
Give
around.
people a rest, you know.
You know, maybe one of them will DH at times when Stanton goes down.
Is Stanton playing this spring, or?
I haven't seen him. They're probably going to take it easy with him. I mean, the Yankees, you know, you didn't hear much about the Yankees with this Houston Astro thing, but people don't realize the Dodgers are upset. But don't forget, the Yankees were up 3-2 on Houston when they went back to Houston that year. Okay, in 2017.
Well, and the Astros.
And then the Astros were hitting the ball all over the place.
Yeah, everybody acknowledges that Houston was a much better team at home, for obvious reasons. Well, we'll see. The Red Sox, people are, I think, conceding the closer role to Brandon Workman for right now, and Barnes they're planning to be the setup guy. And then they had a few guys in front of them. Brazier was terrible last year. Josh Taylor was pretty good, and Keith Hembry is supposed to be back healthy again.
I think their bullpen is good. They have a good bullpen, but they don't have that natural closer.
Right.
You know, I mean, if they had a superstar closer, that bullpen would be unreal. You know, and I think that I would say them and Tampa Bay are going to battle it out. You know,
For second.
For second.
Well, and they're
And don't forget about Toronto. Toronto's getting better.
right. Baseball's been discussing revamping the playoff formula, bringing more teams in, and so they'd have 7 teams qualify for the playoffs, and then the teams that were second and third would have the right to choose who they want to play in a 3-game series at home.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess it would create more games, maybe more interest, and then the teams that didn't get picked would be the other teams to play off into the Final Four, and then I guess it'd be reseeded based on record. I mean, that sounds okay to me. I don't know. It probably has to be negotiated with the players' union. Everything.
That's going to be maybe next year.
Yeah, not this year. But you know, so we'll see how that changes. That I don't know. One thing that I think is a problem with instant replay is if a guy slides and he comes a half an inch off the base, I don't think that should be.
No?
Yeah. I mean, it shouldn't be. Oh, there he is. You can slip a pencil between where his leg is and the base that you could never see it with the naked
Yeah, but
eye.
you can't change that though.
I don't know. It's you know. So anyway, we should talk a little bit about the Celtics. I really want to talk about you probably saw some of the Celtics-Laker game
All
this
of it,
weekend.
yeah.
Okay, so the Celtics played the Lakers at Los Angeles at the Staples Center. Bill Russell was there with a Kobe Bryant tribute jersey on. You know, it's all the pomp and circumstance of the Celtics-Lakers, and it looks like the rivalry is more or less back in full swing. And obviously the Lakers have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, so they have 2 of the top 5 players in the league. But what killed the Celtics down the end were some turnovers, and the league said there weren't any bad calls. You know, they called Brown out of bounds. He wasn't out of bounds.
No.
So that's one call. And then it was hard to say. I could understand the one that went out of bounds. I guess they must have said it went off Tice.
They couldn't actually tell if it went off his baby finger.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at it, it did go off his baby finger. It hit him, Davis. But forget that. Davis pushes on every foul shot. He pushes Tice under the basket. You've got to change that rule. You cannot displace the person going for the rebound
Right.
that's got the position on you from the positions he's at. You can't push. That's a foul. And they never call it. I was watching the game and I said, I hope LeBron hits this, honest to God, I said, I hope he hits this foul shot when the Celtics were up 1, because what's going to happen is Davis is going to push Tice and Davis is going to get the rebound. Well, it happened. LeBron missed the foul shot. Exactly what I said was going to happen. He pushed Tice under the basket and went off of Tice because he pushed him. I mean, what's wrong with this league? They let that go every time.
Well, because he's a superstar.
He was doing it the whole game.
Yeah, the superstars have a different set of rules against them than.
And then Tatum got fouled on that play, but Brown made a stupid pass. It was more a stupid pass by Brown than the foul, so I probably wouldn't have called that either. I would have said he made a terrible pass there. He didn't want the ball in his hands, Brown, then?
I don't know. I think obviously Tatum has emerged as top 10 player in the league now. I mean, he's been scoring upwards of 25 points a game over the last dozen of games. Had some breakout games, including his 41 against the Lakers.
You ask, like they were saying today on the radio when I was coming here, that he's not top 10 yet. He's maybe top 15, but it's still early. See what he does in the playoffs. I would like to ask him the question, tell me who you would take over him. You have him, and tell me anyone else. You tell me who you're going to take over him.
He's 21 years old.
You're not going to take LeBron over him.
No.
You're not going to take Davis over him. There's no way you're going to take either one of the players. Davis is 6 years older than them. And Davis hasn't proved anything yet.
Probably,
he hasn't won a playoff series his whole career.
I mean, the best player in the league is Antetokounmpo. He is what he is, Greek freak.
Who else? All right, you take him over Tatum right now.
Right.
Who else? You wouldn't take Leonard over him.
No.
Leonard's 29 now, isn't he? 28, 29?
Yeah, he's definitely getting up there. I mean, so you're right. For a 21-year-old guy to have the skill set he has, and defensively he's gotten better. He's had more commitment.
He's way better than he was at the beginning of the year when I was down on him.
Yeah, no, he's
way better.
He's really stepped up. And we're not going to use not having Kemba Walker as an excuse. I thought it was unfortunate that they let Rondo make some passes that.
But why did they lose that game, Ron? You watched the whole game?
Yeah.
Why did they lose the game?
Well, they made some stupid turnovers. Hayward missed a layup right at the end.
No, but who? Number one, Smart took two stupid running late in the game.
Yes.
Two stupid shots, Smart. I told you he's great for the team if he stops trying to take over. Let the other players score. You dish the ball and play defense. But the guy that blew the game is Hayward. He stunk.
Yeah, he had a bad game.
He had a terrible game. He should be embarrassed the way he played.
Well,
that's how bad he was.
He's played really well, but he had a bad game.
He never plays good against the good teams. Every big game this year, every big game they had this year, he played poor. In every game. He plays good in games against teams that are, and I'm a big fan of his.
No.
But he's got to start picking it up.
Well, the other guy that came off the bench for the Lakers that was pretty effective was Kuzma.
He's good, Kuzma. He's real good.
I wonder long term if he's going to get traded because he looks unhappy.
Well, he doesn't like playing with LeBron.
Well, he doesn't want to be the third wheel or fourth wheel.
Well, he's seeing what Tatum's doing. You don't think he sees that?
I'm sure he does.
Where last year he was playing better than Tatum when Tatum went through that little slump.
Right, and he's not going to get the minutes, the shots, and ultimately without the minutes and the shots, he's not going to get the money. So these guys understandably won't want to get the big dough.
But Mitchell was the rookie, one of the top players out of that class.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell.
Now Tatum passed him.
Right.
Tatum has flown by all those guys.
Yeah, Tatum.
He's even better than Simmons now.
Oh, way better than Simmons. I'm not sure if coming into this year, Simmons had never hit a three-point shot. I don't know if he's.
But
hit
he's
one
having
yet.
a good year, though.
And then the guy who's struggling this year is Horford. Horford's only averaging less than 12 points a game.
I told you the best moves Ainge made was letting Horford go, but he didn't let him go. Horford jumped.
Yeah.
The best thing that happened to Tatum and Brown, Horford going, Kyrie going, Rozier going, and Morris going.
Yeah.
That opened up the game for those two guys, and now you're seeing it. Those guys hurt those two guys. I mean, it was unbelievable. Morris in there shooting every time he got it. Rozier dribbling, dribble, shooting.
Well, Tatum and Brown seem very satisfied with their situation right now.
But,
And Kemba
yeah.
Walker doesn't care. I don't think he really cares about getting the points or not.
But the difference with Horford, people don't realize it. Not only Tyson's having a real good year, and I is definitely outplaying Horford this year. Horford's still better defensively on the ball. But people don't realize the ball went through Horford at the high post all the time. It was him and Kyrie running the pick and roll and stuff with Horford. So Horford's controlling the ball for a lot of the game. Now, Tyson only touches the ball and passes it, or if he's open, he takes a shot, battling for rebounds. Tyson is the player that these two, if you ask these two guys, who would you rather play with, Brown and Tatum? Definitely Tyson over Horford.
I mean, people are going to say this is the craziest thing I've ever heard, but the guy Tice reminds me of is Cowan's light. He's not as good as Cowan's, but it's the same type of player that he is. He can play inside or outside. I mean, he's not as good a defender as Cowan's was.
But he's a great shot blocker.
Yeah,
he's a very good shot blocker.
And he's really tough.
I love his game now.
I mean, $5 million a year, it's the bargain of the century.
And he's getting better and better. He's working on that three-point shot. The only thing, and he's getting a little better on that jump shot. He wasn't real accurate with that jump shot, but now he's starting to hit a couple here and there.
Well, what's unfortunate for them is they're still saddled with the invisible man, Robert Williams.
He's supposed to be coming back soon. Hopefully he'll help them out.
Supposedly looks great in practice, but then he gets on the floor and he gets hurt. We'll be right back. Well, UConn is no longer the leader of the pack, but they're still a top 6 team in women's college basketball. There was a landmark recently for Oregon Ducks in that Sabrina Ionescu set a unique record with over 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, and 1,000 assists for her career. She's been a triple-double machine, and she's a really interesting player. She's a point guard, but she can score from the wing. The dominant move that she has is she's unstoppable with the hesitation dribble either way, going right or left. And she's a terrific three-point shooter, really good passer. Can't say enough good things about her game. And Oregon's, again, a top 5 team, up with, I think South Carolina's ranked
South
number 1.
Carolina's 1, Baylor's 2, Oregon's 3. I don't know who. Oh, Louisville's 4 now, I believe, 4 or 5. UConn is 6. I know Mississippi was creeping up there.
So there's one team that nobody expected to be in the top 15, which is Princeton of all teams. They're 20-1. They lost one game, I believe, against Iowa. They lost by 2 in overtime. The Princeton coach is a first-year coach, Carla Berube, who used to be the coach at Tufts and had tremendous success at Tufts. Speaking of Tufts, they're undefeated going into the tournament in the league they play in, and they're ranked number 1 in Division III. So in the past few years, they couldn't get by Amherst, but apparently this year they have a shot maybe to go all the way. But anyway, Ralph worked at the school vacation camp at Melrose and had some interesting observations.
Yeah, it was a fun camp. We did it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Coach Hirschfeld was there. I think all the varsity players were there for at least one day, most of them for all 3 days. And we had 54 kids between the 3rd grade and the 8th grade, mostly 3rd and 4th graders, but a number of 5th, 6th, some 7th, and 2 8th graders. And it was a fun camp. I basically work with the younger girls, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Ron, there's a lot of talent down there. But they're years away, but
Sure.
There's a lot of talent. 3rd grade group is good, 4th and 5th. Every class was really good. Of course,
Do they use a full-size basketball? I mean,
yeah, 28.5.
Okay.
They were all using it, but you know me, I'm into drilling. They would handle the basketball well. As the 3 days went on, they were getting better and better. Big games. I mean, the kids were excited in the games. A lot of yelling and clapping, and the people that really got into it were the high school players, the coaches of the team. And the good thing about that is I got to know, I know most of them. Gia, I didn't know her, I never met her, but
Okay.
her team won the championship. Her and Fogarty's team, they were coaching that team. And they all had a lot of fun. You know, the older girls, the younger girls, of course, being around the varsity players, they enjoyed that. And Coach Hersfeld had the 6th, 7th, and 8th on the other court.
Okay.
And I got to work with your player, Cecilia Kay, a little one day. And boy, what a great kid she is, and talent-wise. So I could talk to Coach Hersfeld. I says, the last day we should get the varsity players to wear their basketball shoes and let them do some drills and let the younger girls watch them around the court. And the varsity girls got into it, and Cecilia, I put her with the players, and you wouldn't even know it. You would think that she was one of the stars on the varsity team, the way she was drilling. And all the girls looked great, but what was really impressive was that the younger girls were clapping for them. Like I gave them a 6-second rule to get down the court and back on certain drills, and all the girls were counting, and they were applauding when they did it within 6. I mean, they really got into it, but it was a very good camp. And from what I hear from Mike Mahoney talking to some of the parents, that they said that the kids were really enjoying the camp. But I was first time I've done anything like that, and I was really happy with the way it went. I was happy with the high school girls.
Well, I think to me, when you're talking about youth sports, it's about the experience. And nobody should be looking back 2 years, 5 years, 10 years and saying, I went to this camp and it was really miserable. It wasn't fun. I remember going to Sam Jones camp several years in high school down in Easton and watching him do some things. I saw him make 40 jump shots off the backboard in a row, and he was in his 40s, for crying out loud. He was an old man. I saw him to put 4 quarters on the back of his hand and turn it over and catch them individually before it hit the ground. I mean, stuff like that, you say, like, that's not even possible. And I understand that he's a fantastic tennis player, still playing tennis in his 80s. But, and then meeting some of the coaches that were there, I had a chance later at another year when I was a counselor for a couple of weeks. I picked up Doug Collins at the airport from Illinois State, and he came and was a visiting lecturer and so forth. It was really terrific. So those are the things that stick with you over the long term, and about having fun. Remember John Killalay, who was a Melrose coach, but also was a coach in the NBA, including coaching on the Bucks for a championship team, was there. He has the loudest voice of any human being I've ever heard. If Killalay yelled at you, you could hear him from a mile away. Unbelievable. But it was really a lot of fun, and I know my kids always liked going to camps too. So
yeah, it was really good, and the high school girls were really good to the girls. I mean, they really had a good time. They did. I mean, everybody really enjoyed the camp, so that was good. It was
now,
good.
You said that Dante Scarnecchia, although he's retired, is still at the Combine?
Yeah, he's going to Combine with Belichick to help him out. That was in the paper. I read that today.
Yeah, they said Belichick hasn't been there for 9 years, obviously, because the Patriots were always in the playoffs. So they said he's the man. Everybody wants to talk to him. He spent most of the day talking to Saban one day, probably trying to get the inside scoop on the Alabama players.
Well, that's what he's gotten over the years, but it really hasn't helped him too much. You know, some of the picks he's had. He better get a good end this year.
Well, so you think they're going to go quarterback with the first pick if Hurts is there? Well,
if Brady leaves, then I'm hoping they get Hurts.
I guess there's some decent tight ends that you might be able to get, but the problem is they don't have a second-round pick, so they might have to. I suppose they'll probably go for an offensive lineman in the first round.
Well, they have 3 third-round picks at least, but. You know, what I'm hoping is they may be trading this or getting a couple of tight ends that are okay that are going to be free agents. Maybe
Okay.
grab one of them, and hopefully it works out. But they got to get a burner. They got to get a real good receiver.
Yeah,
and then if
so-
you get a good receiver, then would the other guys look that much better?
Well, and on defense, you're probably going to need some replacement linebackers because Kyle Van Noy is going to be going.
Collins will be gone, I would think.
Collins will be gone. Hightower, he could be a cap casualty because his health. Apparently, they can't really trade him because he's too hurt.
But
longer term.
he's had 2 good years in a row, though, Hightower.
So, I mean, and I wonder I think Gostkowski's cap number is 4.9
Let him
million.
go.
No, I know. So
They can't sign him.
they got I think it's the Georgia kicker, Rodrigo Blankenship. You've probably seen him
Yeah.
kick a bunch of times. I really like him.
Well, they don't need a kicker. They have the kid. This guy that was with them at the end of the year, that ball comes off his foot well.
Yeah, he was
better than
okay.
Gostkowski.
I know, it doesn't give you heart failure every time he kicks an extra point.
Compare that to Gostkowski over the last couple of years when his ball's going like this. That came off this guy's, I forget his name, and then they got the punter, kickoff
Right.
guy, so he can do both of them. So don't give him $4 million.
So now McCourty's a free agent, correct?
I would try to sign him for $5 million, no more $10 million. If he doesn't want to take the $5 million,
And
let him go.
Jason McCourty probably.
Yeah, he's probably done. But they have Jackson.
Jones.
They have Jones. They have Gilmore.
Jawan Williams. Now, of course,
Williams, too.
Wasn't there a drug bust with Williams?
didn't hear
A
about
significant
that.
amount of marijuana found in his
Marijuana?
car.
That's no big deal anymore.
Well, we'll see. It is if you have a truckload. I don't know.
Well, if he was smoking it,
Why don't?
I think they're going to make that legal, isn't it? Aren't they in the NFL?
Yeah, it looks like in the next deal it's going to be legal, which
As long as it's not blended with anything. As long as it's just straight marijuana.
they're going to bring Ricky Williams back. So we'll talk a little bit more about coaching. When you look at a player and the intangibles of a player, what things do you think of as being really critical? When you say player's really coachable, what does that mean?
You're talking about what sport? In football, that's different than basketball.
right.
But if you're talking about basketball mentality, you got to have like you always talk about toughness, not just toughness physically, mentally. That's more important than toughness physically. You got to be mentally tough to be able to go, and especially in the big games. That's what I'd look for. If you get someone who's mentally tough and a good athlete, they're going to be very successful. You get someone who's not mentally tough, who's going to buckle against pressure, I don't care how talented he is, he's never going to come through for you.
Well, that's one of the things that Cecilia has given us. She's always going to the line because she gets fouled a lot. She finished second in the state in free throw shooting at the Elks hoop shoot competition. She made 22 out of 25. And it's hard for me to believe that wasn't good enough to win, but somebody made 23 out of 25.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. You can't be nervous in the moment. You have to be excited by the moment. You're enthusiastic to have an opportunity to come through and play the sport that you really love to play. And the other thing I think I know you're big on commitment is your number one word. And commitment means you're showing up for every opportunity that you can. You're trying to learn the game more by looking at YouTube videos and watching basketball. But when you watch a basketball game, you're not just seeing people run up and down the floor. You're seeing how people get open, how they defend, how they block out, the techniques they use to be successful.
Well, that's important. As a coach, I remember when I was coaching Babe Ruth, and I remember a parent came up to me and said, how did my son get to third base on the ball? It just went in the dirt, came up to the catcher, picked it up, threw it to third, and John was in the third base before the ball was even close there. I said, well, we work on it. We work on reading the pitcher, reading the
Secondary
catcher,
leads,
secondary leads, leaning and all that. If the catcher doesn't have a shotgun arm, you get another step from second. I mean, you work on all those little things. Same thing in basketball. You work on everything.
Yeah, it's
in
like
basketball.
I mean, I never was a speed burner, but the easiest base to steal is third because most pitchers, they look at second once. If they never look twice, then it's easy to get a jump on them.
But I'm always from you maximize your chances of being successful. You maximize your chances. Again, quickly in baseball, one game, team had bases loaded. no outs, right?
Now, your team's
The other team had bases
okay, the other
loaded,
team has bases
no
loaded.
outs, and we're up 3 runs.
Okay.
Listen to this, and this is how bad some people are. I run the pickoff play at first. They don't think we're going to try to pick the guy off from first. It's the last inning.
With the catcher.
No, with the
Oh,
pitcher.
the pitcher.
So I got the
Okay.
first base. When we ran a play, we had the first baseman deep at first. Okay, so I run the pickoff play for first. We pick the guy off. We got him cold. So the kid, we have him so cold, we get him in a rundown. Now we're up 3. There's no outs in the game, right? So we get him in a rundown, and the kids know I don't care about the runs. I don't care if the other 2 runs score.
Okay.
They need 3 runs to tie us.
All right.
We get the out, and the fans on the other stands, they're all clapping because 2 runs scored.
Yeah.
And I'm over there laughing. I said, these people don't even know. I think the coaches were clapping too. We wanted the out. They needed 3 runs. We get the tying run off the base. We could care less about the runners on second and third. And the sad thing is, Ron, not many coaches would have done it because they wouldn't have thought of it. And that's what's pretty bad about some of the coaching. I mean, and then things like that. You see, I mean, there's some real good coaches around, but that instance there, I said, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. And then,
Well, like you're saying, you're putting the kids in position to win the game. Which is, I mean, I've always coached middle school, so it's developmental. Everybody's going to play at least twice per half. And would we win some more games if we had stronger players playing more minutes? Yeah, but that's less important than everybody getting better in the long run. We'll see how we do in the playoffs pretty soon. And I think that there's a few principles that are really important. One is do well what you do a lot. So the team I have this year, we're not good at pressing. We're just not good at pressing. And as a result of that, when we pressed, we got burned too often with.
Do you trap though on your press right from the beginning?
Yeah, but we gave up too many long passes, too many layups.
Your X gets beat? The X that we used to do?
Yeah, no, we just don't press well. So when we stopped pressing, our defense got a lot better because we weren't giving up easy baskets anymore. We made people work. So even though philosophically I believe in playing an up-tempo game and I want to press, if you don't have the personnel that's going to run with it, don't force something that's not working to try to make it work. And similarly, I don't like to play zone, but we have some times where we're having real trouble containing the dribble. So if we can't contain the dribble, I'm saying, okay, I still want you on the ball playing really hard, but you're going to have some help behind you. So we played some zone. Not what I want to do, but I got kind of tired of watching layups because people couldn't contain the ball.
No one would help out. They wouldn't know how to.
Well, no. What would happen is people would help. Cecilia would come over and pick up the dribbler, and then they'd bounce pass it to her player because they weren't getting help from the helper. So again, that's a learning experience, but sometimes you have to adjust. And then offensively, you want to run actions that are hard to defend. Pick and roll, backdoor cuts, isolation plays if you have the right players, and try to get mismatches on cross screens, stuff like that. So now we heard that Sam Dewey had received an offer for Northeastern. That was in the paper.
Was in the paper?
Was in the
I know
paper.
Northeastern was talking to her. I knew there were other teams from my friend who's involved with the AAU program too.
Okay.
He's seen her play and he said that he's impressed with her. And for him to be impressed with her, she must be playing a lot better. I mean, she was good in high school.
Well,
she was MVP.
Terrific rebounder, terrific inside, solid free throw shooter. Nowadays, if you want to play Division I basketball, you have to be able to extend your game. So, for example, in the game that Princeton lost to Iowa in overtime, Princeton took 30% of their shots were three-point shots. Iowa, 45% of their shots were three-point shots. So you really have to work on extending your range. Everybody, they're not, because if you can't shoot threes, you'll get less minutes.
Yeah, I know. There's high school teams. The team my friend's coaching against Thursday, 1/3 of their shots are three-point shots. So they got to defend that too.
Well, if you can make 3 out of 10, that's the equivalent of shooting 45% on twos.
Yeah, they were
so-
12 for 35 in one game, the team they're going up
Okay,
against.
well, I mean, there was a team that scored, college team, Division III, I saw recently. They set the record. They had 27 three-point shots and scored 100 points. So in the NBA, usually you see 15 or so threes made now because the teams are so focused on outside shots. I mean, if you look at the NBA courts, the corner threes, so-called below the break, are shorter than the threes above the break. So they really emphasize trying to take that shot away, make people make the longer threes.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Celtics now. I still would rather see them go to the basket more than take the threes. Take a three off of a pass. Penetrate, if they double you, kick it out, wide open three, that's fine. But when Smart hits a three, he comes down, dribbles, and takes a shot without looking to pass, I don't like that type of game.
Well, most players have a higher shooting percentage off the catch than off the dribble. So if Smart's open on the catch, I'm okay with it. But I agree with you that off the dribble, it's not really the shot that you want. The Celtics are, we'll see. Obviously, you don't want to face the Bucks in the first round.
Well, no, they
or
won't.
the second round. And then
It looks like they're going to face Toronto in the second round.
yeah, and Toronto. It's not like Toronto's an easy team.
No, but they
either.
can beat Toronto. Philly's going to end up matching up with Milwaukee, I think.
Yeah, I think that'll be tough for Philadelphia.
I'm not saying they're going to beat Toronto,
Right.
but they can beat them.
Okay. I mean, I don't remember the last time they won in Toronto. Did they? No, maybe they won this year on Christmas.
They beat Toronto at home and lost to them on the road, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, they have a lot of trouble with Toronto. And Toronto's got real good players. I've enjoyed being with you tonight. I'm Ron Sen.
And I'm Ralph LaBella, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Sports.